Az AIESEP a testkulturális felsőoktatásban tevékenykedő szakemberek és egyetemek szakmai egyesülete, amely világszinten segíti a tudományos kutatások és a szakmai közösségépítést. Professzor úr előadásának címe egy modell, hogyan segítsük a testnevelő tanárokat ahhoz, hogy az egészséges és aktív életmódra, ösztönzés előmozdítóivá váljanak az iskolában. Én arra lelkesítem önöket, hogy bátran tegyenek föl kérdéseket a professzor úr előadása alatt, amint megfogalmazódik, rögtön írják is be a chat felületre. Kérném önöket, hogy ne a Q&A felületre, hanem a chat felületre, és az előadások végén igyekszünk egy nagyjából 2-3 kérdésre választ is adni. Professzor úr, öné a szó.
Before starting this presentation, I would like to thank all people who gave so much energy to offer us this virtual conference. I hope that such event will contribute to keep everybody focused on nice project and ready to fight for the future. We need it. Particularly in these special times, physical education teachers should play an important role at school. In this presentation, I'll propose a model that could be used to guide them to become changing agent. And you'll see that there will be parallel aspect with a presentation proposed by Claude Scheuer a few minutes ago. I'll speak as an active honorary professor at the University of Liège in Belgium, but also as the current AIESEP president. Even the content of my speech is not an official AIESEP statement. I am convinced that most of the ideas would be shared by my colleagues. The AIESEP is an international association focusing on research on sport pedagogy. You'll find a description of our activities on our website. I particularly recommend you to visit the page presenting the AIESEP position statement. The AIESEP position statement, published after the specialist seminar organized in Jyväskylä, Finland in 2013, underlined that it was needed to raise questions about what constitutes quality physical education and physical education teacher education. AIESEP defines quality physical education as a course that allows young people to become responsible decision makers relative to engagement in physical activity and sport in their lives. It is particularly important in the current health crisis. Probably you all know already that determining work of UNESCO. If not, I invite you to discover it as soon as possible. On its basis, AIESEP was involved in a project led by the International Committee of Sport Pedagogy, supported by the XP. The aim was to implement inclusive quality physical education in Madagascar. Details of that project could be found in the references. Since that project, the concept continued to grow, and Claude Scheuer already explained some interesting information about this. Quality physical education and quality in education and of course, quality in physical education were identified among the sustainable development goals adopted by the United Nations. 3 years ago, during the Minute 6, fostering quality physical education in active schools became a priority with a focus on positive experience that would be necessary in the student's life. It means that the goal of physical education is now to make young people valuing and appreciating physical activity for life so that they are intrinsically motivated to become or remain active outside PE. And outside PE, outside school is very important in my mind. It is a big responsibility for the PE teachers, and it is necessary to help them to reach the goal. Some of PE teachers could be lost when considering all concepts that are proposed. So I propose a 4 levels model to structure a way to work on the field. The first level is a micro level and deals with the concept of active school. The second level is focused on PE with a personal vision of the inclusive quality physical education, while the third level lays on the PAMIA principles to be applied to motivate the pupils on students. Finally, the fourth level is definitely a micro level dealing with each task proposed to the learners, the 3 P questions and loops. And the two last levels could be linked to the process level that Cloes mentioned earlier. The first, in an active school, PE teachers coordinate the physical activity promotion. They have to be involved in PE as well as in the other dimension of physical activity at school. They have to collaborate. They are not alone. And it was underlined also by Cloes. I propose 6 dimensions of an active school. It's a little bit different than Cloes mentioned earlier. The first level is, of course, the quality physical education, our course. But the second is extracurricular physical activity, active transportation, life environment with recess spaces, physical activity in the classroom, and of course, one important umbrella that many people forget, physical activity school policy. The physical education teacher is therefore invited to invest him or herself in the development of a school project focused on physical activity, well-being, and health. Of course, he is acting in his or her classes, quality physical education, stimulate para and extracurricular physical and sport activities. He promotes and strengthens active transportation with the staff of the school. He initiates changes to the school environment and fosters collaboration in interdisciplinary activities. And of course, it's a big task. The second level is the inclusive quality physical education. That's the first pillar of an active school. As you can see here, I represent that inclusive quality physical education like a target. The center of the target is physical literacy. Cloes mentioned it also. Above, we have the societal transfer, then accountability, and all around the inclusive quality physical education. The physical literacy is a concept created 30 years ago by Margaret Whitehead and Len Almond. There is a profusion of interpretations. During the last AIESEP Design Thinking Seminar organized in Liège last February, we had the opportunity to develop some exchange about that concept, important. The definition, the official definition of the International Physical Literacy Association is there, but I would like to underline the development of the motor skills and the fundamental physical qualities needed by all children, and the acquisition of the fundamental knowledge and development of positive attitude towards physical activity. Of course, motor competence, physical fitness, knowledge are developing self-esteem and positive self-confidence. They are developing motivation and, of course, pleasure that are important for participation. So physical literacy is at the beginning of that process and should be the center, the priority of physical education lessons. Of course, it's interesting in different domains, but the second level is the societal transfer, because if you are teaching and if your students, your pupils are developing competences only to be applied at school, it's not enough. We have to teach for application outside the school. And then the approach of teaching physical education and health, ensuring that what is learned in the gym lesson, in the physical education lesson, can be practical used by students in their everyday life. It gives meaningfulness to our course, and it's important. It involves linking learning to students' life context, planning intervention in the short, medium, and long term rather than to react to opportunities, and promoting students' awareness of the possible concrete applications of what is learned in PE, because most of them are not able to make that link. The societal transfer concept is linked with the fifth level of the teaching personal and social responsibility model. It's a link also with the concept of authentic instruction or connectedness. And in France, it's a link with the didactical transposition. Societal transfer provide concrete learning that will be used outside the gym. They are competencies for daily life. And we identified 7 dimensions. We don't have time to develop these dimensions. I just mentioned it: autonomous active lifestyle, transversal aspects, health and safety, psychological aspects, social aspects, knowledge of the human body, and motor and sports culture. The third level in this inclusive quality physical education is accountability. We are proud of our quality teaching, but what is the real effect of that teaching? And I believe that production of concrete changes by the pupil or students is an impact of the teaching, should be the impact of the teaching. And there is a direct link with the objectives: motor, physical, cognitive, and so on. And of course, adoption of a healthy lifestyle. It's a change of the philosophy of the teacher works. Does my teaching bring real changes in pupils or students' life? I'm not sure that so many physical education teachers try to analyze such aspect. That it means that that's the implementation of the social transfer goals. We need a real planning with a strategy, with a regular follow-up, with the use of a panoply of tools, questionnaires, personal diaries, tables of discussion, and so on. The PE teachers is viewed as a physical activity and health counselor, a real professional. Of course, around this, that's the inclusive quality physical education. Why? Because what I mentioned right now, need to be applied for all students, all children, all pupils, by individualizing, integration and inclusion. It's sometimes difficult when you have 20, 30 pupils in your class, but it's important. The third level is the PAMIA principles, PAMIA principles, a way to plan, to teach, to reflect physical education and health. It's an approach. It's in the process mentioned by Claude Scheuer in his presentation. The PAMIA principles are based on the self-determination theory with the basic needs of autonomy, competence, and relatedness, then it means that physical education lessons should be taught in taking this into consideration. The PAMIA principles were proposed in a publication, and I just want to highlight them. The first principle, the P corresponds to pleasure. Then each professor, a physical education teacher, has to foster enjoyment by giving meaningfulness and positive climate. The A corresponds to achievement, fostering self-esteem and learning by guaranteeing delicious uncertainty. The M corresponds to movement, foster activity by proposing situations that lead students to expand energy. The I is interaction, foster contact with order and with the environment. And the second A is autonomy, foster learners opportunities to make decisions. Organizing his or her teaching following such principles increase the chance to have intrinsic motivation and lead to activity. The applications was to develop questionnaire that could be proposed before the lesson by the teacher, who can determine if what is planned respects the principles. And after the lesson, the PE teacher can determine if what is taught respected the principles, and the students could answer to that questionnaire in order to explain what they perceived during their lesson. We used this with during the student training, and we had very good results with this, then confirming the interest of these principles. So the fourth level is a very new, for me, very new concept, the three P's, questions and the loop. And I would like to show this, and that concept deals with the learning tasks. A task corresponds to any activity that the teacher proposes to reach the objectives. But does the learner know the name of the game? It's a very important question, because usually pupils and students are following the physical education course lesson because they are at school and they have to do it. But when the teacher proposed something, do they know why the teacher proposed the task? So if they don't know, how to expect their involvement in the task and in the learning? So that concept is linked with the mediating process paradigm, and of course with social constructivism. Then the question is, as a PE teacher, do I give my students a chance to take benefit of each task? So when a pupil or student has to do a task, he or she should be able to answer to three questions. Performance, what should I do to do well? Process, the second P, what should I do to do well what I have to do? And the third P is product. Did I do well what I had to do? Thinking about this, I could add a fourth P, with P as why, the pourquoi, why, and the purpose of the task. And it's important for the learner to know why he is doing something. And the loops, when you are beginning a lesson, you have an objective. to reach at the end of the lesson. And all exercise tasks that you propose should be linked one to the other one until the end to reach the lesson objective, the lesson purpose, and to have something after that lesson. Why? Because these questions provides meaningfulness, self-esteem, relevance, involvement. Is it a new concept? Not really, but it seems that it is not so often, that it is often forgotten. Well, I would like to come to the take-home message. You have here the 4 levels model with the active schools, the inclusive quality physical education, the PAMIA principles, and the 3 or 4 P questions in the loop. 4 key message for physical education teacher educators or educators. Presenting the model to P students can help them to structure their approach of teaching. In-service training, teachers explained that that model allowed them to confirm their field observation and were very happy to use it to go further. Stakeholder and parents to who we presented that model said that such vision of physical education would have changed their own experience. And that is finally not a revolution, but the realization that PE teachers can easily become agents of change. And to illustrate this, I would like to introduce you Jean-Jacques Goldman. It's a very famous French singer, and he has a very nice song in which he mentioned the story of a teacher, a simple teacher, but that teacher changed the life. And I believe it's the role of all teachers, of any teacher, and of course of physical education teachers. And we need to do something to change the life of our students. Now, 4 key messages for researchers. Of course, there are promising findings about the effectiveness of the principles model, and we need to continue. Studies focusing on their implementation by the practitioner are needed. Theoretical support should be reinforced. Adaptation according to the COVID-19 pandemic are also needed. And I saw that in Hungary, you are doing a lot of project for that. There are also other resources. I wanted to share very briefly these. But never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. And it means that just find or be this person. You can find the presentation, the slideshow, you can download it here. I know that the presentation has been recorded, then you are also able to find this later. So I believe I should say köszönöm. Thank you.
Készült Magyarország kormánya megbízásából az Európai Unió támogatásával.